A very good evening, everyone. On behalf of Foodyaari, I, Ms. Simran Ahuja, would like to welcome our esteemed guest speaker today, Mrs. Sumedha Jalgaonkar, ma'am, and all the attendees as well. On the occasion of National Science Day, Foodyaari has organized a series of webinars for the food technologist community. The topic for today's session is food safety culture. Now, some brief highlights about Foodyaari. Foodyaari is a cloud web-based platform for the food technologist community. At Foodyaari, you will get a great learning experience in the form of quizzes, news articles, news updates, and much more regarding the food sector. Foodyaari also provides you a large community of food professionals so that you can interact with them very easily. Also, on the occasion of National Science Day, Foodyaari has organized Food Festomania, sponsored by Food Aces Consultancy, a proprietary firm established in 2009 by our esteemed guest speaker today, Mrs. Sumedha Jalgaonkar ma'am herself. Food Festomania will consist of events like article writing, quiz biz, student talk, and webinar series like this one. Events are lined up from the 21st of February to the 28th of February. The registration is free for all. There are exciting prizes to look forward to, and there is e-certification for all the participants. Hence, I urge and request all the attendees to please take maximum benefit of this platform by actively participating in Food Festomania. To participate, please visit the website of Foodyaari and register there. For any other queries or details regarding Food Festomania, please contact Foodyaari at their Instagram handle with the same name. Moving ahead, now a quick introduction about our guest today. Mrs. Sumedha Jalgaonkar ma'am is and has been an independent consultant, trainer and auditor for food safety systems from October 2009, Food Aces Consultancy, Pune. Ma'am has conducted more than 135 FSSAI fast track trainings for manufacturing, catering, storage, and distribution. These are but a few mentions in her rich and expert work experience. We are very honored to have you amidst us today, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Simran. I'm glad to be here on this such a nice platform for food technologists. So thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Before I hand over this webinar to our ma'am, our speaker, I would like to request all the attendees to please post your questions and comments in the comment section below so that we can get to them towards the end of this webinar. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much, Simran. So let us get started with the session because we have only 1 hour. So I'll try to cover a maximum part of my topic, though it's an introductory topic. So let's start. I'm sharing my screen. I hope it is visible. Simran, just confirm it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm
it's visible.
ready to go ahead and we are all good to go ahead. All right. So, thank you so much, the team Foodyaari and all the attendees for joining in for this webinar, Food Safety Culture. The name may look a little complicated, but I had tried to make it as simple as for all of you. So let's go ahead. I don't think so. I need to be given any introduction now because Simran has already given a brief introduction about me. But one thing I would like to really mention here is that I'm also a food technologist, or rather, proud food technologist, and have done MTech in food technology from Parmani. So 15 years of experience now, but out of that, 4 years of experience was for a job, and rest 9 years are for my consultancy firm. So basically, all the points in my trainings, I'm going to give you some examples, or rather which my personal experiences are, the examples from that experiences, so I can relate my work with the seminar also. So this is about me. I am not going to go into details of my introduction. You can see that majorly I'm into food safety systems, HACCP, ISO, BRC, FSSC. I'm also impaneled with FSSAI, not only as a fast track trainer, but as a master trainer for FSO, food safety officers. So this is about the introduction. Let's continue with the topic. Now let's start with this, and I want to start with this with a very fundamental question regarding food safety culture. See, normally what happens in food industry, this is a biggest question every food industry, every top management always face, and that the question is, why do people systematically violate safety and hygiene rules in spite of providing proper trainings to them and making them aware about consequences of not following food safety systems? Okay, so constantly the trainings are provided, top management and other employee try to make everybody aware about food safety. Still we see that people are not following the food safety systems. So what might be the answer? So the obvious answer for this is the food safety cultures. Of course, apart from any other things like the infrastructure, the work environment and all other things, the food safety culture is one of the most important thing which is required for ensuring food safety. Why I'm saying this is the answer? Because I have seen some of the industries where there is good infrastructure, the people are quite qualified, they are trained also. Even the people working in industry, they are educated, they are, maybe at least they are 10th, 12th or graduate. Still, I mean, they can understand everything, but still they do not follow everything systematically. So let us see why and how food safety culture for every food industry is equally important to other factors like the suitable infrastructure, suitable work environment, and all other facilities that company should provide to employ. So developing food safety culture, how is that going to help the food industries to ensure food safety? Now, I have few particular elements in my presentation, which are the general elements, and I'm trying to explain those elements with the help of some examples and some explanation. And then we can cover how that element can contribute in developing food safety culture, which in turn can impact the food safety. Okay, so let's go ahead with the next one. Now, before we go ahead with the food safety culture, let us try to understand these two things. First, the food safety. Of course, I'm going to share the definition or read the definition, but that is very, very important to understand. When I say food safety, it means the assurance that food will not cause any adverse health effect to consumer when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. Now, I think in this definition, the first word assurance plays extremely important role because there won't be anything without assuring that food will not cause any effect to consumer. So this is the most important thing to understand, that when we say food safety, it is nothing but assurance. Okay. And now food safety practically means a food product which is free from any kind of contamination, that is the hazard, and the adulteration. Why these two things separately? One, contamination can happen by accident, or something can happen accidentally or unintentionally rather. But when we think adulteration, that can happen intentionally. And now these two factors, something which is unintentional and something which is intentional, both of them contribute to food safety. And both of these factors are related with food safety culture, the practices and the processes followed in food industries. So this is food safety. Let us now understand the more complex terminology, which is culture. Now, culture, there's no fixed definition as such for culture. However, culture will have two major things: something which is visible, something which is not visible. Okay, something which is invisible. Okay, that is inbuilt, right? So when we say the behavior of the people in terms of, let's say, food safety practices, implementation of the food safety practices, that behavior is something visible, but deep down they have all of these things. They have particular beliefs, they have particular values, presumptions, they have their attitudes. So all of these things, may you are not able to see that, but these things matters a lot because that is going to impact the visible part, which is behavior. Okay, so culture, basically, there are certain things which are visible, there are certain things which are not visible. And another important aspect of this particular word, culture, is Something which is visible is little easier to change. However, something which is not visible to us is really hard to change, and that's where the problem lies. How can we change all of these things in terms of the attitude of the people, in terms of their beliefs, and all the things which are inbuilt in a person? So this is the culture, right? Let's go ahead. Now, collective thing, we just saw the food safety and then the culture. Now let us come to understand what is this exact food safety culture is. So basically, it is a product of employee attitudes, their beliefs and behaviors that determine to commitment to and robustness of organization food safety management. Now please understand, we are not just saying that how much they are committed, but we have to see that how the system is consistent and robust to ensure food safety in that organization. And it is not only a responsibility of one person, but it is a responsibility of everybody which is involved in that company. So one thing we normally say that culture is something doing the things with responsibility, awareness and integrity, even if nobody is watching us. Normally what happens that people do the things rightly, correctly when somebody is watching them, somebody is monitoring them. However, they do not follow the same thing when nobody is watching. And we know this, when there is a CCTV camera, people will do the things rightly. When they think that camera is off, you know what they do. So this is not the culture. So when we say culture, they should feel that within, from within, and then they should do all these things, all the practices with the sense of responsibility, awareness, and most important thing, the integrity. Okay, so food safety culture is possible when employees and food handlers, they know what is food safety risk, when they will really understand what is the food safety risk and what is going to happen if they do not follow the things properly, when they know why managing that risk particular is very very important, and what is going to happen to them, to company, to product and to consumer if the risk is not managed properly. They can effectively manage the food safety risk when they understand what is my individual contribution in impacting or doing the things rightly so that I can very well ensure the food safety. Then they should be able to demonstrate that. Okay, it's not only what they feel, but it should reflect in their actions also. Otherwise they might know everything, they might understand everything, but the same awareness and integrity and responsibility should reflect in their demonstration of the practices. And this is basically created by the leaders of the company. Now, when we are going to go ahead in the presentation, I'm going to explain why leadership and how leadership is very, very important for ensuring food safety culture. So this primarily is developed, created by the leaders in the company, and then the same culture is to be followed by every employee in the company to ensure the food safety management system in the company. Let's go ahead and understand various factors or other elements which are very very important elements for every organization to consider for food safety culture, and then few points regarding each element. Before we go ahead with the elements, first of all we must understand why we need to have this food safety culture. Apart from the mentioned reasons, apart from the question and the answers and other things, there are certain things which I have enlisted. First of all, of course, for protecting the customers and consumers, then to build the trust for the customers and consumers, then a brand reputation. Uh, Following the food safety culture, ensuring the food safety will definitely going to prevent the financial loss that might come due to some accident issue or some food safety related issue or sometime let's say complaint or recall. Then one of the very important thing is the measure of continual improvement. Now when we think about any company, company will always think to have some improvement always. Okay, so this is one of the very very important key aspect regarding the measurement of continual improvement of that company. So having the food safety culture, improvements in that culture will show that how organization have been developed. Then very interesting part of food safety systems, or rather I should say the audits. Basically, there are various food safety standards like FSSC 22000, BRC, and all of the famous standards which are normally implemented in food industry. Now, these standards will have a particular requirement that organization shall undergo the unannounced audit. And now, for this particular unannounced audit, the culture, food safety culture in that company will play very important role. Unannounced audit in which the auditors will not, communicate in advance that they are coming to your company for auditing. They will straight away come and they will start doing audit, and that audit will be possible and successful only if the food safety culture and all the practices are followed consistently, not only for the day of audit. Okay, so this is very very important. And then when you know that you have a very good food safety culture in the organization, you will have a separate, you will have a confidence that you can face any type of audit, whether it is announced or unannounced. Okay. Next part is, this is a GFSI requirement. I'm sure you might have heard about this. This is Global Food Safety Initiative. So all these standards which are approved by GFSI, they have this specific requirement to ensure the food safety culture is there. So in the requirement which is related with the top management in all the certifications like FSSC or BRC, IFS, SQF, food safety culture has been reflected. So this is nothing but one of the requirements in many popular food safety standards. So this is a clause requirement also, and every clause or that requirement will ask the company to establish the food safety culture, to maintain it, and to improve that food safety culture. And last, but I think this should come on the top, the most important thing is food safety culture will act as a preventive action for food safety. Now, food safety and preventive action, these two things are very very they have a very special connection. We cannot think about food safety after something happens, but we have to think always about food safety from a proactive approach or a preventive approach. So we have to think what can go wrong in terms of food safety, and how am I supposed to control that before something goes wrong. So that is what is the preventive action, and food safety culture establishment and implementation of that will ensure a preventive action for food safety. So this is why we should have food safety culture in any organization, not only as a part of requirement of any standard, but as a part of continual improvement and as a part of preventive action. So it should be followed. Let's go ahead. Okay, so these are certain important elements which are related with development of food safety culture within any organization. Okay, so the first factor is leadership. Then second factor is empowerment of the employee. Third one is encouragement and appreciation. Fourth one is the responsibility and accountability. Fifth one is the teamwork, and last one is awareness and training. Now, I have listed these factors. There might be other factors also, but I have just whatever I have seen up till now in my career in terms of whenever I have gone to any company, I have implemented a system in that company, and whatever I have learned during that implementation, I have tried to capture all of that in all these elements. So I'm going to explain this element in terms of how these elements are important, what should be considered under that element, and third one is why why these elements are backbone, or why these elements are very very important for developing the food safety culture in the organization. So let's go ahead. So the first factor is leadership. Basically, I think the food safety culture will start from the leaders, because it cannot go to the employee unless and until the leaders follow the same thing. Okay, so in the starting also we have seen food safety culture has to be developed by the top management. When I say top management, it means basically the decision makers in the company or the leaders of the company, because as an employee, the people are supposed to follow their leaders. So whatever leaders demonstrate, people are going to take it up and then they are going to follow all those things. So the food safety culture will always start from the leaders, how they have developed it, what are their own beliefs, what are their own presumptions, and based on that, how they have developed that culture within their organization, and then how they are able to demonstrate that for all of the people. Okay, so food safety culture starts with the leaders. This is basically defined by the top management and the leaders, the decision makers in the company. Now, think in a way that it is going to impact both positively and negatively for the food safety culture. Okay. So, if something is done right way, that is going to impact rightly, positively, and something which is going into the negative way, that is certainly going to impact in a negative way. Something which is wrong, which is going to impact in a negative way. So, leadership or the top management has to be very, very careful while doing all of these things. Okay? So this is very important. Then their level of awareness. When we think the top management, how much they themselves are aware about food safety standards, the requirement, and the significance of food safety culture will definitely impact the basic things which is to be designed and followed by the company. So their level of awareness and their actions are going to hamper the culture of the company in a positive as well as sometimes in a negative way also. Okay, understanding and following the practices. How do they understand? How the leader understand the practices? How do they themselves follow the practices? Is nothing but the demonstration of their food safety culture, and the people will take that and they will follow. Creating suitable environment in the organization. So there are many kind of organization which will have different kind of environment within their company, and how they have created the environment on the same line the people will follow the system, right? So here the leadership, they have to set the example so that people will see and follow them. What you do, people will follow. This is the mantra, or this is one of the key important aspect that every leaders in the company they should remember. The culture that they have understood, the values they have understood, the culture they have developed and established in the company, they will ask the people to follow the same thing. Some of the company will have very good culture in terms of freedom or empowerment, or employees are given equal opportunity. On the other side, some of the people will have other type of environment in their company which will basically say that okay, they have to just do the things from 9 to 5 and nothing else than that. So different types of cultures are there. So leadership or the top management shall be very, very careful while they are developing such cultures in their companies. Next one is the empowerment of people. Basically, when we think about the employees, right from all the managers, supervisors, food handlers, or all the even the security person or helper or housekeeping person, every one of them should have a sense of empowerment within them for the organization. Otherwise, what will happen? They will feel that my work is just to come here to do the stipulated work and go back, nothing else than that. Okay, so first of all, they should have awareness about their responsibilities and authorities. Now, often it happens that people are aware, or they are much more concerned about their authorities rather than their responsibilities, for the obvious reason. They feel this is my right, they feel this is something which I should be doing, but they do not feel that this is my responsibility. And again, this responsibility and authorities are related with what they are supposed to do, and what they are what rights or what capabilities they have to take the actions or the taking the decisions. So in terms of authorities, so they should have power and access for all the aspect related with ensuring food safety. one of the very important aspect regarding employee that they should be empowered to report any kind of problem. Often it happens that people in the company, they do feel some problem, or they have seen some problem, they have faced some problem, but they are not they are not aware, or they will hesitate to report such problem. And after some time the same problem will be will become big and can impact the food safety. So they should feel empowered to report any kind of problem to the concerned person, so that timely actions can be taken. So this is a very important aspect, and most of the food safety standard will have this particular element in the requirement, that whenever you are communicating the responsibilities to the employee, you should communicate that every employee have equal right to report any kind of problem that they are facing. Okay, they should be they should feel empowered in terms of analyzing the problem and solving the problem. Now reporting problem is one thing. Okay, they should definitely have the responsibility to report the problem. However, if they are facing some problem, they are the one who better understand that problem. So they should be empowered to do analysis for the problem and try to solve that problem, or rather or at least try to give the input related with that problem, so that the problem will be solved at the decision level or at the top management level. So they should have empowerment in terms of analyzing and solving the problems. Then taking the actions by management or taking actions by company is something which is demonstration of empowerment of that person, right? See, if somebody has reported a problem and other person, the concerned person, has noticed that and has taken the appropriate actions, which means that person is also having importance in the company, so that person will feel empowered, and then he will behave accordingly. Okay, he will definitely behave accordingly, because he now understand, if I report a problem, top management will definitely analyze that problem and will take action onto that problem. So my opinion, my problem matters to company is really a great feeling for each and every employee. Then another factor is trusting the employees and their action. So you should not have doubt over every action and every employee in the company, that why he is doing that, why he's not doing that, like that. So if the company employee, they feel trusted and they will feel the transparency in communication, sure they will provide much more than what is expected from them. Okay, so when they feel that I'm one of the important element in this company, my work, my company trust on me, so they will definitely do something better or something more than what is basically expected from them. And every time the organization shall see how they can support the employee, not only in terms of financial things, but even other aspect also, physical or psychological aspect also, how the company is able to support the employee in terms of their problems. So this is again a very important thing. So this is regarding empowerment of employee, and after empowering the employees, they will ensure the food safety. Okay, and that is how the culture will be developed. Let's go ahead. Well, this is a very important aspect, encouragement and appreciation. Now, whatever the top management feel about the employee, that should be demonstrated through certain actions in terms of, let's say, some awards or some appreciation, some recognition. So the company should have a culture wherein the top management or the company will always encourage or support or motivate the people by providing such appreciations, okay, such awards or appreciations. So this is basically with the environment and culture of the organization, and this is the action demonstrated by top management regarding their leadership. Okay, how they are showing the leadership by encouraging the people, by appreciating the people for their good work, by motivating them for motivating other people, so that they can see what a person has done good and then they can follow the same thing. So that is going to overall develop the culture in the company in terms of a very positive culture to do something better. Okay, so this is basically a kind of motivation given to all the employee to do their job in a better way, in a nice way, right? So this is inspiration for a greater contribution what they feel is that whatever I'm doing, it's a kind of contribution, but when he will feel appreciated, he'll try to give much and much more, or into greater type of contribution, greater extent of contribution. And as I said, if the employee feel encouraged, if he feel that he has been appreciated by the top management, if he feel he is valued person in that company, he will certainly do more and better than what is expected from him. The basic thing expected is to come to fulfill the job responsibility and go. This is the routine thing, but he will try to do something more and better to ensure food safety. Okay. And at the same time, when they are getting appreciation, they will again feel a sense of responsibility as well as accountability. It's not only the responsibility, but it's also the accountability. They will feel it, I'm accountable for something, maybe a good or something which is bad, so he'll behave responsibly in that way. So one example I want to give here is, in company, I mean, most of the companies I have seen, they have this culture that they will give some award or some recognition to the person who has done something good. So in one such function, I have come across one employee where she has been, I mean, that lady, she was a food handler, and then she has been she has done a contribution in solving a problem which was there from so many months. So she came into that team, then she analyzed what was the problem, and then with her simple input and simple information that she provided, the problem was solved. And that later on company recognized that contribution, and then she has been awarded for her contribution. So this is a kind of contribution, or this is a kind of appreciation that should be provided in terms of, it's not only some award or something, it can be you can call the team and appreciate that person in front of the team. That person will really feel appreciated and something great, and then they will definitely do much more better. And by looking at that person, the other people will be inspired, and they will try to do something better in their own work also, so that one day they can get the similar appreciation. So this is regarding the encouragement and appreciation. Let's go to the next factor, a responsibility. So basically we see this as a job responsibility. What is my responsibility is something which I am supposed to do, but accountability is something which I am responsible, I am accountable for. Okay, so to ensure the activity is completed appropriately and effectively. Now what happens is, if something comes good or something happens good, everybody will come ahead to take the credit. But if something goes wrong, nobody will come ahead to take the responsibility or accountability of that problem. Okay, so this is where a very very important. This is where the culture plays a very important role. So people should be, treated, or they should be trained in such a way that they should not come ahead only to take the credit of something good, but even to take the responsibility of the problem or take the accountability of that problem also. They should feel that, okay, this is my responsibility to solve this problem, or this was my accountability that the problem occurred. So they should feel equally accountable for something, not only taking credit or not only feeling responsible, but they should feel accountable also. So this sort of clear responsibilities, authorities, accountabilities should be developed in a very very clear way by the company. This is one thing that should be clearly defined. Second, a person should know what is my responsibility, what is my authority and accountability. So they should understand that very clearly. So company should have a system for defining that and communicating the same thing to the employee. Often it happens that it has been defined only in HR manual. Okay, everything very systematically written in terms of job responsibilities and blah blah blah. But few times it happens that it has been properly communicated to the employee, and this problem comes when something as a complaint comes, and then nobody said, okay, this is because of me, or I'm able to do that, or I'm able to solve this problem. Because often they are not aware about their responsibility and authority. It has been communicated in the form of just a formality at the time of joining of the company, but time to time the company should provide communication and sort of training to all the employees, particularly for their individual responsibility, individual accountability with respect to company and with respect to food safety culture. So they should have a feel of responsibility, plus they should have feel of authority. Now when I say authority, a person should feel authority not only in terms of the post. Okay, depending upon post, people will have different authorities, but as an employee of the company, certain authorities certain authorities are there for every employee, and trust and environment in the company. Now with respect to this particular the authority part, the trust and environment in the organization, I want to tell one example or one incident which I have seen in one of my client company, where we were about to enter. I was there and the factory head was there. We were about to enter into a processing hall, and then we went through this hygiene room, change room, and then we followed all the PP and everything, and we were supposed to enter. Suddenly one operator came and he said to the factory head that, sir, you have not removed your watch. Okay. Then the person was very happy. I mean, I was shocked to see the factory head was happy that operator reminded him to remove the watch. Then he went again, he removed the watch, he came back, and I could see that the factory head, he thanked that person that, thank God you told me before I entered into the processing hall or the line. So this is how the people should feel that this is my authority, this is my responsibility. They should not only feel the responsibility that I should tell the problem, but this is even my right. I can tell this problem to top management. Okay, it's not that somebody is there, some manager is there, but the factory head was coming, and then even an operator is, he stopped the plant head and he said, okay, this is something which is wrong, sir, please take care of this. And factory manager appreciated that action of that operator. So this is basically how the culture is developed in any company. So this is the next factor. Let's go to the next one. Now, everything that I have mentioned up till now is not useful if we do not have the teamwork in the company. Now, try to do anything if the people are not working as a team, if they are not supporting each other within the company, top management will not be able to do anything for the company. So it's basic responsibility of the employee to demonstrate their teamwork, because all other factors will not be useful if we do not have the teamwork within the company. And with the help of teamwork, anything and everything is possible. So this is a most important ingredient for food safety culture, or developing and consistently maintaining the food safety culture within the organization. Okay, so the ingredient, this is related with developing the culture, how how people are helping each other, how they are supporting each other to reach their common goal, how the efforts of everybody matters, and how the collective effort is going to give the success to the company in terms of assurance of food safety. And now they people should understand, if there is lack of teamwork, what is going to happen with the company. Okay, now just a simple example that normally personal hygiene, or following the personal hygiene is one thing where this thing appears that many of the people, most of the people rather in the company will follow, but there will be certain people who are very stubborn, they will resist to follow all these things. So what happens normally is, if one or two person in the team are not following certain things, the other people, whatever other people, the good practices other people are following, will not be useful, will not be significant. So these people should understand, if we are not following, no matter what the team will do, other team members, no matter top management do anything, food safety culture will not be ensured, and thereby there will always be certain risk to food safety. Now here also I want to tell one example which I have seen, and I always feel inspired when I go to that company. So I took a project regarding ISO 22000 implementation. There was a very small company, but I can tell you, though it was small, and when I visited for the first time, I felt it is very small, and I don't know what I should do with this. And when I visited first time, the infrastructure, the system they used to follow, everything in terms of system or documentation, whatever they used to follow at that time, after seeing that, I was a little worried. What should I do? How should I start implementation of ISO? And whether I'm really able to achieve the certification for this company or not. But when I interacted with the director of the company, he said, Madam, we cannot assure that everything can be good in the company, but we can assure one thing, that whatever you tell every person in the company, right from security guard to me, we are going to follow whatever you tell us. Okay. And that gave me the confidence that, okay, something can definitely happen. And over the period of 6 months, I can see the transformation of that company culture, from whatever they used to follow to the exact, compliance or conformance part in terms of food safety systems. So we got the certification, and when certification body auditors, they audited the company, they even realized and appreciated the teamwork. And at the end, we realized that everything is possible if the team is there and they are ready to work together on anything. So that was really a great demonstration of how a teamwork can happen, can do the magic in terms of food safety things. So they understood everything. Everybody decided that whatever is being told to us, we all will do. And this feeling of doing all has, given them the certification. Not only the certification, I could say the success for them. So the company which I really felt doubtful about certification, and the same company, it was the same company for whom I really felt proud that, okay, this is the company where I worked, and these people taught me how the teamwork should be. So that was the clearly one of the very very important incident in my life, and they taught me that how teamwork can do the things and do the magic for food safety things. Okay. So this is basically all the elements. Let's go to the next one, awareness and training. Now, often we think that training is a very formal activity, or training is something, stipulated things, or whatever we want to achieve. Let's say uh, establishing food safety culture, or take any example of any practices. We often feel that providing training for once will give that the things will be, will give us that confidence that the things will be implemented, but it will not happen. The trainings and awareness should be constantly provided. It's not that one time the training has been provided, then later on you feel that why this is not happening. You have to understand, the one time training will not solve the problem. And when it comes to developing a culture, a very complex phenomena, one training, or once in 6 months, once in a year, will not suffice the purpose. So there is no fixed formula for food safety culture or the concept, but one of the contributing factors for creating awareness among people regarding food safety culture, and ensuring them or making them aware about how to implement that, will be the training. So every person should be provided time to time trainings, not only the repeated trainings, but the training of food safety culture in different ways every time, so that people will every time realize something new, they will get awareness about something new, and then they will feel that why should I follow this. Okay, so they will feel the awareness and they will feel the motivation to follow all these practices in the company. So this is a part of improvement. Every time the training, whenever you conduct any kind of training, you have to remember the training regarding culture shall be provided. Of course, organization can only provide the training. They can only see the effectiveness of training, but it's not something, training is provided and then evaluation is taken on the paper in terms of question, answer, marks. So forget about that. That is not the evaluation formula for food safety culture, but evaluation will be done on day-to-day basis for every employee, how they feel, how they talk, how they behave in the company, and what is their feeling about awareness regarding food safety. And that is going to have impact, or that is something which will show how impactful or how effective were the trainings which you have provided for ensuring food safety culture. So that will set a very strong foundation for developing a food safety culture. So involving or including the topic related with food safety culture, and every time providing the training of the same topic in different way, evaluating people on different way, will ensure that the awareness has been slowly increased and people are ensuring the food safety culture. So they are basically following all the elements which are there in the food safety culture. So this is basically one of the element. Finally, we have seen all the elements in terms of how the leadership is provided, how the leadership is crucial, what the top management are supposed to provide to company in terms of encouragement, appreciation, and everything regarding the practices. Then the awareness in terms of teamwork or trainings and formal trainings or demonstration, everything is a part of food safety culture. So collectively, all these factors will contribute in developing the culture which is related with the food safety culture. Now, one of the very important thing which I really want to mention in conclusion is that often we feel that food safety culture is demonstrated through the policy of the company, the mission of the company, the vision of the company. But I feel all of these things are there, but all of these things are much more theoretical. But rather than that, we should see what is the culture. So this food safety culture should go beyond just the slogans, the procedures, checklists, records, and documentation that should be demonstrated by people every time. And that is really food safety culture, beyond the documents, beyond the basic formal things. Then the food safety culture, the foundation is set by the top management. So here there are two very, very important words. First, the foundation, which is set by top management, and second, the commitment provided by all the employees to ensure the food safety culture is followed and time to time it is improved in the organization. So we have to have a constant review. Company should have constant review mechanism to understand where our food safety culture is going. Is there any problem? And how am I supposed to solve that problem if people are facing some problem, to follow or to demonstrate the food safety culture. And finally, uh, such food safety culture, as I said in the starting also, that this will act as a preventive action for ensuring food safety throughout the food chain. So the way you are developing culture, you are creating some preventive action so that you can reduce or you can eliminate the potential food safety problem, and then you can solve that. If you come across any problem, you can solve that well in advance before it will create some impact. So this is basically the conclusion regarding food safety culture. Thank you so much. This was all from my side regarding the food safety culture, the element of food safety culture. And now I would like to give it over to Harish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for making us understand this vast subject in such simple and easy to understand terms. It was really a great pleasure to watch you explain it in such simplicity. Let us
Thank you,
move
Simran.
onwards. Yes, ma'am. Let us move onwards to the question and answer session.
Certainly,
Ma'am, the
certainly. I'm very keen to take the questions. Uh, yeah,
okay. So,
please go
ma'am,
ahead.
the first question for you is what is the role of all employees in the hierarchy of food safety culture?
Okay. First of all, I feel the role of employees, first of all, they should have awareness about what they are supposed to do. And they should be aware about their individual role in terms of food safety. They should not feel that I'm a food handler and I don't have any specific role. I'm just doing whatever is being told to me. So that's not the food safety culture. So first of all, they should be aware. They should understand how the individual contribution is going to contribute further into developing the culture of the entire organization. So they should feel that my contribution matters. So they should understand what is their responsibility, how they're supposed to follow the same things, even if nobody is watching to them. So they should follow that. And third, I feel even after understanding themselves, understanding about food safety things, they should make others also, they should make aware, they should tell other people also how they can contribute into that. So understanding the awareness about food safety, then their individual role, uh, significance of their individual role, sense of their responsibilities plus their authorities, and their contribution for food safety is something which will contribute to develop the food safety culture as far as individual person in the company is concerned.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. So, ma'am, the next question is, can you give us some examples of what could be the consequences of violation of food safety culture?
Okay. Example, well, uh, fine, I have not seen such examples as such, but I can generally tell that if somebody is not following a system, let's say a simple activity of cleaning the equipment, if other people, everybody is following and that particular operator is not taking care of that, then the entire product which has been processed on that equipment might not be safe or might have some certain food safety risk. Okay, so everybody, there are so many examples or there are so many theoretical examples I can tell that if normally we think about personal hygiene, a very very important aspect to ensure food safety, and where one person is not following, there is equal risk. Okay, so they should feel that, they should understand if they are not following, something can go wrong. Okay. So in terms of everything, in terms of cleaning, hygiene, sanitation, or day-to-day practices and policies that they should be following, every matter or every requirement will have a certain impact if one person is not following.
Right, ma'am.
I hope I have
Uh,
answered.
yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, the next question is how the food industries are updating the food safety culture to sustain the COVID pandemic situation.
Right. Again, the similar answer that has started right from how the organization has given awareness. Now, as far as this pandemic situation is concerned, I can tell you with my own experience that uh, along with providing awareness, the companies should provide or companies have provided in a particular sense of inclusiveness in the employee, that okay, please do not worry, because we have seen that people were affected on various fronts, let's say financial front, they were emotionally affected, psychologically affected. So when we said food safety culture, particularly with such a pandemic situation, organization must think about all the aspect, financial, social, psychological aspect. And second thing about pandemic is providing the right information, because we have seen in this entire scenario that there are a lot of source of information available. Some information is right, some information is not so genuine information. So company should take care that how the correct information is provided, and not the panic or not the false information is provided to the employee, so that they will have certain fear in their mind. So they should remove all the fear, but same time they should inculcate that why this is so important to follow all these things, but not to have fear at the same time for this situation.
Right, ma'am.
Yes, I hope.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am, you have answered it rightly. And, ma'am, the next question is could you please give examples about accountability and responsibility in terms of food safety culture?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question in terms of, can you just repeat the question, Simran?
Yes, ma'am. Could you give any examples of accountability and responsibility in terms of food safety culture?
Okay, great. I can certainly give one example, and which is my favorite example. See, in every company, the materials will be received. Okay, in for raw materials, ingredients will be received. Mm. Normally, the scenario in the company is that the quality chemist or the quality officer is supposed to go do sampling, take the sample, do analysis, then provide that result to the manager, and then manager is supposed to analyze that result and take the decision on whether the raw material has to be approved or not approved. Okay, So responsibility is to do the work, okay, to do what is there in your job responsibility. So responsibility is to take the sample, to analyze that sample with respect to specific parameter with specific method is a part of responsibility. Now, second, manager's responsibility is to analyze it properly, and based on that, the authority is to decide whether to accept the material or to reject the material. So, to reject the vehicle, to reject the material is a part of authority. Now, when we say authority, if something goes wrong with that raw material or the product which is manufactured from that raw material, the manager and the operator, both of them, or the officer or chemist, both of them are equally accountable for the problem. So it should be analyzed if something goes wrong, where it has gone wrong, whether it was wrong in terms of decision, analysis and decision, or whether it was wrong in terms of doing the testing and taking the sample. So if something goes wrong in sampling or testing part, then the chemist is accountable. If something goes wrong in terms of taking decision, the manager is accountable. So this, I think, is responsibility, authority, and the accountability of certain problems.
Very nice example, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you so
Simran.
much. Ma'am, the
Thank you
next
so much.
question is, what do we do as customers if we feel that food safety culture is not being followed by a particular industry or a company?
Okay, as a customer or as a consumer, there are two different roles. One, the customer who is buying the product, and I think customer is much more powerful than consumer, because consumer, see, of course, consumer is powerful, but customer is going to pay, and he will decide what he is supposed to get in terms of that whatever he is paying, whether it is worth or not. So he should be very very stringent, strict on in terms of the system or the food's quality or safety things, and by communicating that thing. Now this situation will be different for a B2B business when you are manufacturing and some other company is buying that product. So they will definitely make sure that the company where their products are manufactured is following everything, because they do not want to take any risk arising from that manufacturing process, because finally the customer will process that and pack the product and then sell it. Okay, so they will ensure that my supplier should follow everything. So this is how they should think.
Right, ma'am. So moving ahead, the next question is, could you please explain the validation and verification difference with simple examples?
Certainly, though it is not related with food safety culture, but certainly I am going to explain this. And this is again a very popular questions, I can say. So validation is basically, again, I will tell you with the example, because without example it will not be, it will just be a theoretical answer. Okay, suppose we want to design the cleaning system in the company. So there are various factors that we have to decide. For example, which chemical should be used, how much should be the concentration, what should be the contact time. So we decide all these things on the basis of certain trial and error. So we try many chemicals out of that, and then we try, in the sense we use that chemical, we study what was the microbial load before using, what is the reduction in microbial load after using. So we compare the result of all of this chemical, then we come to know that okay, this is a effective chemical. Then we try various permutation combination in terms of various concentrations. So even same things will be done before cleaning process and after cleaning process by using different concentration, let's say 1%, 2%, 3%. Again we collect the data, and then by doing all these analysis, collecting data, on the basis of the data we prove something. Okay, this B chemical is right. For B chemical 2% is correct or effective, then contact time should be this much. So that way we decide a process. So validation is always done prior to designing the process, because that is the basis to design the process. Okay, so validation is basically collecting all the data and deciding something. Okay, so this is validation. The system is developed, then the cleaning process is developed, and then SOP, standard operating procedure, will be formed. Then the next thing is, when the SOP is developed, we need to check whether everyday cleaning has been followed exactly as per that SOP or not. that cross checking is called as verification. So remember one thing, validation is always done prior to the process and verification is always done after the process. In between there is a monitoring, that is checking. When the process is going on, what we do is monitoring, and after the process is completed, the cross checking part is called as verification, to check whether the activity has been happened as per SOP and whether the monitoring has happened correctly or not. So this is validation, monitoring, and verification. Though monitoring was not asked, I tried to answer that because we cannot separate these three things.
So the three processes of the one
Yes.
major
So one is
outcome.
prior, one is in between the process when the process is going on, and one is after the process.
Right, ma'am. And ma'am, we'll
Yeah.
take the last question here, a little similar to the pandemic situation. So the question is, in this time of pandemic, how can effective safety culture be attained? And it is about the sustainability of food safety culture. What is the sustainability of food culture in this pandemic situation?
Right, a very good question, particularly with the context of sustainability of the culture. See, culture is not something which we are following today and not following tomorrow. So there has to be a consistency and sustainability of the culture. Then only that practice, I mean, then only we will call that practice as a culture. Okay. So if you're doing one thing today and not doing tomorrow, then that is not defined or that is not addressed as a culture. So definitely, if something has been consistently followed by people, every person in the company, that will develop or that is referred as a culture. Now, as far as the pandemic situation is concerned, we must remember one thing, that we should not forget what has happened and what can happen after this pandemic. So it should not, company should not think that, okay, now the COVID is not there, so we should not follow the system, or we should stop following the practices that we used to follow during the pandemic. So they should always feel that something like this is always there, and how consistently we can follow the similar system so that we can reduce the risk because of such pandemic situation. So that is what is the sustainability. Not doing the practices only when it is required or when it is, at the peak of the risk, but following that consistently by understanding the risk of the problem, and by developing the awareness among people for doing that consistently, not the temporarily, right?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect. So, ma'am, with this we can end the Q&A session. You have answered all our questions very easily in a very easy way to understand. Thank you so much for that. Lastly,
Thank
moving
you, Simran.
forward, yes, ma'am. Lastly, moving forward, on my personal level and also on behalf of Foodyaari, I would like to thank you very much for your efforts, for coming here with this time and energy. Thank you very much, ma'am. Also, thank you very much for partnering with Foodyaari and sponsoring Food Festomania. Lastly, I extend my thanks to all the attendees for your patient participation and Foodyaari for organizing this webinar. Thank you. It has been a lovely time, very informative. And with
uh,
this, we end. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so
Uh,
much, Simran. I would really like to say a few words about this because before we end the session.
yes,
So
ma'am.
I would really want to appreciate the efforts taken by the entire team, Food Yari team, that they have started with such an initiative. Maybe you or Harish or any other people. I'm not aware about their names, but I certainly want to thank the entire team for organizing such a nice program for the students and for the professional, not only in terms of this webinars and all, but the quiz and other initiatives also. So I'm sure this platform is going to have a very good future, and it will be very, very useful to everyone who has visited that platform. So thank you so much, and all the best for your future initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With your wishes, I hope Foodyaari develops and grows to another platform altogether. Thank you so much. And with this, we
Absolutely.
can conclude our live session here. Until next time, then, goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, ma'am. Thank you.